Welcome, everyone, to Movie Goodness, where we examine life through cinema here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and we have arrived to the end of 2024, a year that will live in infamy. So many ups, yet so many downs. And that's just life in general. But going into film, it was a lot of ups and downs. A lot of films that, going into 2024, this time in last year, we thought that certain films, at least I did, thought that certain films were going to be just juggernauts this year. You couldn't tell me that Furiosa wasn't going to get close to $1 billion. It didn't get close. It failed at the box office. I thought Joker Folie à Deux was going to be the movie to define movies, didn't do nothing in the theater. And we got some surprises as well. It wasn't all doom and gloom. We got some really good films that, completely caught us off guard. I didn't know that Alien Romulus was going to be that good. I thought it was going to be decent, but it was great. The Beekeeper, which is a film that was dumped in January of this year. I thought it was just going to be a little generic action movie with Jason Statham. It was really good. It held up the whole year. It stayed on my brain the entire year. It was that good. You had your surprises. So I just like every year, it's nothing new. This isn't a weird force of nature that 2024 had these little flips. It happens every year. Going into 2025, you're gonna have your flips again. But just like every year, we have some highly anticipated films that we just can't wait for. This is gonna be another history making type year if it goes the way I think it's going to go. Even if it goes the opposite direction, I think it still would make history because we have a lot riding on a couple of these films. It isn't just okay, it didn't make the money we thought, let's move on. We have a couple of films coming out in 2025 that if they fail will completely derail franchises. They will completely derail studios, and there's a lot riding on these movies. But at the end of the day, it's up to these filmmakers and the studios to put out good quality. And if you don't, it's gonna, it's not gonna be good. You look at going into 2025, you have 3 Marvel movies coming out. Now, these are 3 potentially good movies. They can, all 3 of them, they can make close to $1 billion a piece if they're good, but if they're not, and that starts with the first one that's released. Like if that's not as good, nobody's going to go see the other Marvel film that comes out in the summer. And then there's another one that comes out at the end of the summer, and it will, that box office will affect that box office, so you have to think ahead. You got to be 3 steps ahead in a way. It's just like this year in 2024, Sony put out 3 Marvel associated films. You had Madam Web, you had Venom, The Last Dance, and you also had Craven come out in 2024. All 3 of them were bad. All 3 of them you could have burnt at the stakes. So, and that ultimately came to the decision that they decided that's it. They're not making any more of these Spider-Man list Spider-Man movies. So that's that for Sony in their experiment. And so same thing rides on a few films coming out in 2025. But besides that, and besides the franchise films, the comic book films and that nature, we have 11 films that I am so excited for. I know traditionally is 10, top 10, but I have 11. 11 films that I am super excited for. these are the 11 films, and it's not just 11 films that I'm excited for, but these are 11 films coming out in 2025 that no matter what, I'm going to see opening weekend. Hopefully before, but I want to see opening weekend, and they got my money already. It's not even a question. I already have the dates marked on my 2025 calendar, so I can know to set my little $20 to the side that so I could have, and I'm going to the theaters to catch these films. Let's jump into this list. We have 11. My 11 most anticipated films of 2025. Let's start at number 11, a film that stars Robert Pattinson, is directed by Bo Jung-ho, and it comes out on April the 18th, 2025, and it is Mickey 17. It is a science fiction black comedy that it looks super funny. And Bo Jung-ho, who directed Snowpiercer and Parasite, awesome director, love his films. This looks so good. This looks so funny. This was initially going to come out in January, but they pushed it back to April. I don't know why. They never gave an explanation, but it is what it is. I don't care. As long as we getting it no further than this, don't move it anymore, unless you're going to move it closer to, and so I can see it. But this film, we have Robert Pattinson, who is the most recent Batman, and did a phenomenal job as Batman, I must add. But he's diving into this little black comedy where he stars as Mickey Barnes, who signs up to be an expendable, a disposable employee where after one of his cells dies, a new body is regenerated with most of his memories intact. After one of his multiples, Mickey 17, unintentionally survives a human exploration to colonize this ice planet, he goes head to head with the new multiple, Mickey 18. And so this looks good. The trailer looks very funny, looks very entertaining. It looks beautiful. The cinematography in here, I'm all in on this. This looks super good, and that's why I couldn't leave it off the list. Yeah, initially I had 10, but I had to stick Mickey 17 on here one way or the other. Mickey 17 will drop in theaters on April the 18th. Now we dive into the top 10 if to make it official, I guess. But at number 10, on December the 19th, 2025, we have the third film in James Cameron's Avatar film franchise, Avatar Fire and Ash. Yes, we are going back to Pandora. I guess this is Pandora. I don't know if they're going to be on another planet or not, but either way it goes, we're getting a third iteration. We know the first film, Avatar, was basically Earth, and the second film was water. And so now we're getting fire. So I guess we're going through all the elements here, earth, wind, and fire, I guess. And so we're going to dive into this version of the story. There's no synopsis about it as of yet, but we know that James Cameron returns as the writer, the director, the co-editor, the co-producer. This is his baby. And all of the cast is returning. Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, and Giovanni Ribisi is returning from the first film. Now, to be 100% honest with you, the initial viewing of these Avatar films is like a phenomenon. It is an exciting experience to go witness this in theaters. These are films that are made to see in a theater, the biggest screen possible. But after that, I mean, I can count on one hand combined both films how many times I've seen them since. Matter of fact, I don't think I've watched Avatar: The Way of Water since the theater. I don't think I've watched it on Max or anything like that. And it's not because it's a bad movie. I just have no desire to go back and watch it. It was good for what it was at the time I watched it, but I'm just not compelled to revisit it. But in any event, I'm going to see this movie. I got to see this movie in the theater because James Cameron knows how to make movies. He knows how to make theatrical experiences worth your money. And so Avatar Fire and Ash will drop in theaters on December the 19th. This is my number 10 anticipated film of the year. Coming in at number 9, we have Predator Badlands, which drops in theaters on November the 7th, 2025. I'm so glad that we're getting more Predator films, but at the same time, I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of nervous. Prey was so good. Prey was so excellent. I rewatched that. I think it was last week or maybe the week before last. Either way, I just recently rewatched Prey, and it holds up so well. I enjoyed it yet again. I love that film, and Dan Trachtenberg, he's returning to direct this film. And the premise of Predator Badlands this time is set in the future, and a predator traverse on an alien wasteland while two sisters discover their horrifying past. Elle Fanning stars in this film. I want this to work, but here's the nugget. Here's a little sweet spot in case you don't know, out there in podcast listening land. This film was shot back to back with another Predator film, which is slated to be released in 2025 as well. There's no information about it. There's no synopsis. We don't know who's in it. We don't. There's nothing, but it has been confirmed that we are getting not one, but two Predator films in 2025. And so they're kind of linked together here at number 9. But either way it goes, I'm going to see them both. But this we do know for certain Predator Badlands will drop in theaters on November the 7th. I hope and pray that we get a worthy successor to Prey, to continue this franchise, because this is a franchise that's near and dear. Even though I only like really one Predator film, and that was the original. Predator 2 was all right. It didn't age well, and Predators, it was all right. Don't say that, and I don't even count Alien versus Predator. So I really only liked one, but the first one was such a classic, almost perfect film that you can't help but be excited for a new Predator, and we're getting 2 in 2025. Coming in at number 8 on the highly anticipated list of 2025, we have the not sequel, but second part to one of the best films to come out of 2024, being Wicked. We get Wicked for Good. It was initially entitled Wicked Part 2, but they changed the title to Wicked for Good, which I don't know what that means. I didn't see the play. And I've been dodging spoilers like crazy, even though there are no spoilers, because if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, you pretty much know how it all wraps up. But either way it go, I want to see how this story ends with Elphaba and Glinda, and the continuation of what we saw this year with Wicked Part 1. That was one of the surprise of 2024 for me, because I'm not a Wizard of Oz guy. I don't consider that one of the greatest movies of all time. The story is the story. I mean, it's good for what it is, but I wasn't all in on it. And when I watched it, I quickly became all in on it. It became one of my favorite movies of this year, of 2024. So I'm excited to see Wicked for Good. Everybody's returning. Director John Chow and stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. This looks good. I'm all in. I don't need to see any promotional material, nothing for it. You sold me with part one, so let's get it popping. I'm ready for the songs. I'm ready for the landscapes, the set designs. I'm all in. And so Wicked for Good will drop in theaters on November the 21st. Coming in at number 7, and this is the first of not one, not two, but 3 Marvel films that will be coming out in 2025. And this is the first one that we get to feast our eyes on in 2025. It is Captain America Brave New World. In this go around, we have Anthony Mackie taking the mantle from Chris Evans as the new Captain America, reprising his role as Sam Wilson. Also in this film, you have Harrison Ford taking over as Thunderbolt Ross from the late William Hurt, who passed away a couple of years ago. And in this movie, we get the Red Hulk. Yes, Thunderbolt Ross will become the Red Hulk, which is a shocker that they revealed that before the movie came out. But I think that's because this movie was pushed back so much. It was supposed to come out this year in 2024, but they pushed it back because of reshoots and the strike and all this other stuff and rewriting the film and adding characters. It was so much. They basically made another movie from the version that was supposed to come out before. But I think the reason why they revealed Red Hulk and pushing them so heavily into marketing, one, they need this movie to work. Like I was saying to open up the show, how this film is going to affect the rest of the MCU films that come out this year. If this doesn't do well, nobody's going to run to go see Thunderbolts or run to go see Fantastic Four. So you need this to at least be decent. And so they're throwing everything at you, which is pretty weird coming from Marvel, that they normally do. And another reason why we're getting Red Hulk, I think, being as though this movie was pushed back because of the licensing and the merchandise sales and the way those contracts work, they were going to start putting out toys and stuff like that of characters from the movie before the movie came out, and it would have spoiled the movie. So they had to just go with it before they actually wanted to. That's just my theory, because this had happened before, that they put, I don't know if it was Marvel or somebody else, they pushed back the release date, but the toy companies still had to hit their date, which was before the release, and they spoiled the movie, like big character reveals and stuff like that. And so they didn't want to get caught with their pants down again. Captain America Brave New World, going by the trailer, it looks like it's going to be interesting. I'm in it because I went and seen every single Marvel movie in the theater. I am a huge Marvel fan, so for that reason, I'm going to see it. Plus, I want to support the 504 boy, Anthony Mackie, and his new role as Captain America. Let's see how the world responds to a black Captain America. That alone is going to be interesting and worth your money. Captain America Brave New World will drop in theaters on Valentine's Day, February the 14th, 2025. Coming in at number 6, and this one here will be the final ride, allegedly, of Ethan Hunt, the final mission for Tom Cruise. Yes, Mission Impossible, the final reckoning. This will be the final Mission Impossible film that stars Tom Cruise. That doesn't mean that we're not getting any more Mission Impossible films, but this is allegedly Tom Cruise last go around as Ethan Hunt. And after the response of Dead Reckoning Part 1, which this film was supposed to be Dead Reckoning Part 2, but they changed it. I think They changed it because Dead Reckoning Part 1 didn't hit like they wanted to. I enjoyed the film, but it didn't make money. It didn't make the money that they were hoping for, especially that being the film that came after Top Gun Maverick, which crossed $1 billion. I guess Paramount was assuming that, oh, that crossed $1 billion. The next Tom Cruise film was going to cross $1 billion. Well, you, the problem with that is this is the seventh one. This is the seventh Mission Impossible film, so it didn't really click. But I really did enjoy it. It wasn't the best Mission Impossible film, but it was action packed and it was exciting. Now we getting the eighth film in this franchise, and you know, hopefully we can go out in a bang with a bang, I should say, and Tom Cruise can fly off into the sunset. Maybe give his body a rest from jumping off buildings and hanging out airplanes and in trains and everything else. The man is crazy. That man is insane, and I love every second of it. Man, let's see what insanity he is putting himself through when Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning drops in theaters on May the 23rd, 2025. Coming in at number 5 at the most anticipated films of 2025 is a film that's 18 years in the making, and we get a return of the original filmmakers from the very first film in this franchise 28 years later. The post-apocalyptic horror film, which is directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland. This film stars Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ray Fiennes. This is this I want this movie so bad. This almost jumped up to number 1 to me. I mean, I'm so excited for this movie for so many reasons, because I love 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later took the quote unquote zombie franchise to another level. And I know people throwing stuff at their phones and computers, and they're not zombies. I know they're not zombies, but it falls in that little subgenre. They're infected. This is a virus that has infected the people, but it took that premise of zombies, it flipped it on its head. We're not getting Walking Dead. These things aren't walking behind you like brains. It's none of that. These things are running full speed. They're at any means necessary. They're coming at you with all dangerous intent. I am frightened by that trailer. That trailer was spooky as I don't know what, and I'm here for it. Danny Boyle is one of the, I think, the most slept on filmmaker. I know he gets his credit. Everybody loves Danny Boyle films, but this dude is amazing, and Alex Garland is equally as amazing as a writer and a director. He directed some really good films as well. Going back to Civil War from this year, and the work he did on Dread, which was amazing. Ex Machina and stuff like that. So the man knows film. Put those two together, you can't help but feel that this is going to be successful. I am excited for it. It looks amazing going by that trailer. Aaron Taylor Johnson, I know he gets poo-pooed on a lot in some of the film. He hasn't led a hit film, but the dude is amazing. Craven aside, and he did the best he could with Craven, but it still wasn't enough. But he can make up for it in this film, and I think he will. He's that type of actor, if put in the right position with the right filmmakers, he can really shine. That's like a Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender is an interesting cat in the projects that he chooses, because he is a phenomenal actor. He just is not in good movies. And it's sad because the dude is amazing, but he just got to get with the right team. And Aaron Taylor Johnson is in that same camp with me, and I think he's with the right team this go around. But we shall see. 28 years later, the third film in this franchise will drop in theaters on June the 20th, 2025. Coming in at number 4 on my highly anticipated list for 2025 is another Marvel film, and this film drops on May the 2nd of 2025, and it is Thunderbolts. This is basically Marvel's answer to DC's Suicide Squad. This is your little ragtag outlaw group coming together reluctantly to fight whatever, because we don't know who they're fighting. But this is a group of anti-heroes who goes out on missions for the government. But I am hyped up for this movie for some strange reason. You have Florence Pugh returning, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, Wyatt Russell, Lewis Pullman is in this film. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in this film. This looks good. This looks so good. I hope that it turns out well. I'm praying that this turns out well. You have the introduction of Sentry in this movie. One of the things that's going to hold this back a little bit, that I failed to mention when we was talking about Captain America Brave New World. See, Captain America Brave New World, if you didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think you're going to be a little lost. Because I was watching the trailer for Captain America, and I was like, a lot of this is coming from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show on Disney Plus. And I know a lot of people didn't watch that. And so it's a lot of people that's watching this and is going to be completely lost. And I'm worried about that. Same thing here with Thunderbolts. Not the whole thing, but, Wyatt Russell's character, who comes from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, his character. And if you didn't watch the show, you're like, who is this guy? Why is he, he just popped up out of nowhere? No. He had his origin in that show. So if you need to go back and watch it, that was the danger of the Disney Plus shows. If you didn't follow the Disney Plus shows, you're absolutely lost. So I hope everybody get caught up on that before they go check this out. But even if you don't, I mean, this still looks exciting. It looks like it's going to be a fun adventure, like an old school phase 4 or 2 of the MCU type film where they were just firing on all cylinders. And it just got that vibe, a grounded approach to the MCU. So, but we'll see. We may end up in space in this movie. Who knows? But I'm here for it. I'm going to take that ride with them. Thunderbolts will be released in theaters on May the 2nd. And here we are to the top 3 films that I am highly anticipating for 2025. Another Marvel movie, the other Marvel movie, the last of the 3. And it is, of course, the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is Marvel's take on the Fantastic Four. We know we got, 4 other iterations of the Fantastic Four in the past, and all 4 of them were hot garbage. And I don't think anybody enjoyed those movies, but I didn't mind the ones with Chris Evans, but I wouldn't recommend them to nobody. But they were bad. They all of them were bad. But those were without Marvel. This is Marvel. This is the MCU in full control of the Fantastic Four. That's why I'm super excited, or at least one of the reasons why, because you also have a cast that I didn't think would work on paper, or should I say was never on my dream cast list. I had a dream cast in mind for the Fantastic Four. None of them were cast in this movie, but the cast that they did announce, I'm like, why didn't I think of that? This is perfect casting. You have Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as The Invisible Woman. You have Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. You also have Edmund Moss Badrock as the Thing. In this film, you have Galactus showing up. You have the Silver Surfer showing up. You're gonna have possibly Doctor Doom. And if you've been keeping up with current events, we know that Robert Downey Jr. has been cast as Doctor Doom. So that's going to be interesting. Now, that's a rumor. It hasn't been officially announced, but I'm assuming that he might pop up maybe in an end credit scene or something like that. I don't think he's going to be a major part of the film, but I think he's going to show up in this film. But in this film, the Fantastic Four must protect their Earth, in a 1960s inspired retro futuristic world from being devoured by the cosmic being Galactics. Yes, when I say their Earth, the Fantastic Four is in a different universe. It's not in the continuity of the MCU that we know, with Tony Stark and, what the events that happen with Thanos and what's going on right now. They're in a different universe. And so somehow they're going to end up in ours by the end of this film. That's going to be exciting, and I want to see how this all turns up. This film is directed by Max Shackman, who gave us WandaVision on Disney Plus, and I think out of all the Disney Plus shows, that's the one thing that has been universally loved by everybody in the MCU love universe. So that's an encouraging sign. The Fantastic Four First Steps will walk into theaters on July the 25th. And keep that date in mind, because we're going to circle back to that in a few minutes. It's because it's an interesting date to be released. But coming in at number 2, my second most anticipated film of the year, at least of 2025. And, thinking about it now, I probably should have put it further down the list, but I don't care. It's still on the list nonetheless. On March the 7th, 2025, we get a film from the great Ryan Coogler, who gave us Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. This go around, he teams up yet again with Michael B. Jordan, who's playing 2 roles in Sinners. This is a horror film written and directed by Ryan Coogler, and I am so excited for this movie. This movie almost made number 1. It almost made number 1 over my number 1 pick, and that's shocking. But it is so interesting what Ryan Coogler is about to do. Number 1, he's doing a horror film, which is something different. Of course, he's reteaming. I don't think he's ever made a movie without Michael B. Jordan in it, and that's fine. Martin Scorsese. It's like every movie he makes have Robert De Niro in it. So, hey, it is, good filmmakers find their actors that they mesh with, and they work with them all the time. There's no knock on that. But this looks very interesting. The premise of Sinners: trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers, both played by Michael B. Jordan, return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back home. This is supposed to have the Ku Klux Klan as an element of it, vampires possibly. It's so many theories being thrown out there, but none from Ryan Coogler or anybody involved with the film. All we know is a horror film. This film was shot down here in Louisiana, in a town not too far from where I live right now, and I didn't know that until after they finished filming, because I would have went down. I wanted to see what they were filming, but it was it looks like, going by the trailer, like it's gonna be just out insane, and I'm all in for it. This looks exciting. There was a big bidding war for this movie before they shot it. The screenplay Ryan Coogler wrote, had all the studios bidding for it and trying to get the rights to this film that they feel might be the start of a potential franchise. So Warner Brothers end up winning, and we're off and running on March the 7th. We will get Sinners, a horror film from Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. Man, I can't wait for this movie. I cannot wait for this movie. And this is probably the scariest movie of the year, not because it's a horror film, because if if it lets me down, it's going to be a long 2025 for me. I'm gonna say, man, I have no hope for the rest of the year, but I don't think it will. Ryan Coogler has yet to let me down. I mean, every movie, you know, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever aside, I have enjoyed every movie Ryan Coogler has made. Even Wakanda Forever. I mean, it wasn't great. It didn't live up to the original, and I think a lot of people, including myself, without knowing it, was trying to compare it to the original, and you couldn't. And you have to realize, what Ryan Coogler went through making Wakanda Forever. Number one, right off the bat, the star of the film dies. Chadwick Boseman. He passed away before the film went into production. So you had to rewrite the script. He had to rewrite the script because they already had a date locked in. Didn't recast, which was a mistake. They decided to go with a different approach. They made Shuri the star. The actress who played Shuri while filming the movie, she ended up getting COVID, missed time, came back from missing COVID. She broke her arm, missed time. He had to write around that. The studio wanted him to put this character in to set up that movie down here and put this character in and set up that movie. And rewriting the script while they're shooting, it was pandemonium. Not to mention this was during the pandemic. He just had a tough time. The fact that we got a watchable film out of that is enough to celebrate. And I mean, at the end of the day, Angela Bassett did get a nomination. Should have won for her role in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So in spite of all that was going on, he still managed to get a Academy Award nominated performance out of one of his actresses. So I have faith in Ryan Coogler. Once again, coming in at number 2 on my highly anticipated film list of 2025, Sinners, dropping on March the 7th. Well, that leads us to the number 1 film. And look, if you have a pulse and I'm pretty sure you know what number 1 is. And it's not because we just got the trailer last week, at least the time of this recording. I felt this way before the trailer. After the trailer, I definitely felt this way about this film. I am super, no pun intended, super excited for this movie. This is hands down my most anticipated movie of 2025 for a number of reasons, and it is none other than Superman, which will soar into theaters on July the 11th, 2025. Oh my God. There's so much riding on this movie. There's so much riding on this film. It will make your head blow. Number 1, this is the first official film of the brand new DCU at DC Comics, or DC Studios, I should say, over at Warner Brothers under James Gunn, who is directing this film as well. If this film crashes and burns, the DCU it is over before it even started. It's over. Now, officially, this isn't the first thing to come out of the DCU, because currently you have Creature Commandos on Max, which is the first actual film, or the first actual property to come out of the DCU. And that show is excellent. If you're not watching it, the animated series, it is phenomenal. But this film is banked on all of that. we're not going to get Brave and the Bold and the Lantern series and all these other properties that James Gunn announced a couple of years ago when he took over DC Studios. So it all comes down to this. Going back to that date, July the 11th. If you notice, like I said before, the Fantastic Four First Steps comes out July the 25th. That's 2 weeks. There's a 2 week there's a 2 week separation between these two properties. So it's basically DC versus Marvel in the month of July. I don't know how this is going to play out, because you kind of need Superman to make $1 billion, even though you never had a Superman movie to make $1 billion. But you kind of needed to make that money. And you only have a 2 week window to really bank on that before Fantastic Four comes out and kind of takes your audience away. And now this could play out like a couple of years ago when we had Barbenheimer, when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out on the exact same date. Even though they came out on the exact same date, they both still made $1 billion. They both had legs and just crushed the box office. Now, the problem with that is those were two different films. Those were counter programs. You can go see Barbie in the morning and then come back and see Oppenheimer in the evening or vice versa. These are both comic book movies, so if you bringing your kids, are you going to bring your kids to two different movies? And you get what I'm saying? So it is a little more difficult. And I'm only saying this because it's a possibility one of these movies might move, but I don't think, under normal circumstances, somebody will move, but I don't think it's going to happen because, power play. Nobody want to feel like they being bullied, and especially DC, because this is their first shot over the bow, they're not going to move. Fantastic Four, I can see them moving, but I don't think they're going to move either, because they've moved so much. Marvel has shifted so much of their schedule around. I don't know if they'll be willing to do it again. But that's besides the point. Going back to Superman, going by that trailer, this is everything I would want in a Superman movie. And this is just a 2-minute and 20-second trailer. You got the color palette looks amazing. It looks like a comic book, The action looks comic book. The tone is perfect. I am all in. And then you had Crypto the dog. I didn't think. Now, full disclosure, when they first announced Crypto was in this movie, I kind of took a step back. I was like, what? What? And I got no beef with Crypto. I'm like, why is Crypto in this movie? I was just so like done with it. I was like, why would you? And then all the characters that he announced was going to be in it, Guy Garner and Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho, all these other people. I'm like, man, this is too much in a Superman. This ain't Superman. This is this is Justice Society or something. But once it's placed in its proper perspective, it all started to make sense. And then when it came down to Crypto, when I saw him on screen, when I saw what they did with him just in this little trailer, I was like, sold. Sold. I get it. I got emotional in that trailer. It just hit every button that I didn't even know needed to be pushed, but it did it. And I don't know why I questioned James Gunn when it came to Crypto and all that. This is the same man who had me crying over a talking raccoon in a tree. But he did it. He did it. I mean, this dude, he's another one. He fires on all cylinders. I have yet to see a bad James Gunn movie. I haven't seen it. You can go the Suicide Squad. He made you feel emotion for King Shark. I actually had emotion for King Shark. in that movie. The Weasel. I had emotion for the Weasel. Well, that's in Creature Commandos. But the dude just, he finds a way to find the heart in everything. And Superman is all about heart. So I got all the faith in the world in James Gunn. I cannot wait for this movie. I cannot wait. I mean, everything else aside, all those other films that we listed, I I hope and pray that I get the opportunity to see them. I'm healthy enough to see them when they all come around. But Superman, I don't care if I'm sick in the hospital, will me to the theater to watch Superman on July the 11th, which is my sister's birthday. I'm gonna send her a text, but I'm going to the theater to see Superman. And so that's my top 11 films that I'm highly anticipating in the year 2025. I cannot wait. I would love to know, what films are you highly anticipating? Did I leave it off this list? Is the list a little off to you? Do you feel that Fantastic Four should be number one, or Sinners should be number one, or Mission Impossible? Which one are you most anticipating in 2025? I would love to know. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also let me know on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to movie goodness here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for my most anticipated films of 2025 list. I hope that everybody gets through this New Year season, this or New Year holiday, safely and healthy, and can see this brand new year that is upon us. And I hope 2025 is much better to you than 2024 was. Even if you had a great 2024, I hope that 2025 is even greater. I am hopeful that we're going to have a great year. I looked back personally and looked at 2024, and just like I mentioned about the movies, had some ups and downs. I have had some ups and downs throughout this year, just like everybody else. I'm human. And I can honestly say that I had way more ups than I did down, and I thank God for all of that. This was a very interesting year. But one of the great things about this year that it really chokes me up is the continued support for this show. I know it seems cliche-ish and just saying that to pat y'all on the head, but honest to God, I really do appreciate all of you who continue to support this show, continue to listen to me blabber on about movies and whatever else that I decide to talk about in this podcast. But thank you for supporting me throughout 2024. I promise you that 2025 is going to be bigger and better than ever. Have a happy new year. I'll see you on the other side. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.